I'm going to introduce Gao Ying's double hook thumb draw, which is an alternative method to draw and release the bowstring. Most people are familiar with the single hook thumb draw, which involves covering a thumb with the index finger like so. To pull the string, you assume this position, and when you want to release, you involuntarily let go with the index and thumb, like so. In Chinese, the single hook is known as dan da, where dan means single. The conventional wisdom is that the single hook is good for light bows, because with a single finger covering the thumb, you can get a quick release, but likely have insufficient holding strength for heavier draw weights. Another method for pulling the string is with a double hook, which involves using 1.5 fingers to cover the thumb. In this case, half of the middle finger and all of the index. If you try to use the full width of 2 fingers to cover the thumb, then you're going to have a sluggish release. 1.5 fingers is all you really need. To release, you pull, and you'll involuntarily let go with the index, middle, and thumb, like so. The double hook is known as da in Chinese, where shuang means double. Conventionally, this is recommended for heavy bows because 2 fingers covering the thumb allow for more holding strength, but when used with light bows, the 2 fingers covering the thumb make for a sluggish release. Now, Gao Ying actually went against convention and recommended the double hook for both light and heavy bows. The key is in the release. With Gao Ying's variation, instead of opening the index and middle fingers upon release, you instead tuck the middle finger in past the thumb, like so. Once again, you're pulling towards release, and then you pull the middle finger past the thumb, thereby reducing the pressure on the thumb by half, and allowing the index and the thumb to open up quickly. Here's what it looks like with the string. As you're pulling towards release, you're going to pull that middle finger past the thumb. Here it is from a different angle. You're pulling towards release, and you tuck in the middle finger. Using Gao Ying's variation of the double hook, you've effectively combined the holding advantages of the double hook with the release advantages of the single hook. Some tips to keep in mind. Don't just rely on the action of the draw hand to initiate the release. Coordinate this with the rest of your draw. As you're pulling the string, keep the base thumb knuckle relaxed. Let it straighten out as you're pulling the bow, like so. Also, as you're pulling, try not to angle up your wrist harshly like this. That's going to strain your forearm tendons. Instead, try to adopt a more neutral angle of the wrist. Something you want to avoid is hooking too deeply. If you do that, you're liable to knock the arrow off the string because of the crowding. I prefer to hook the thumb with the distal joints of the index and middle fingers. It provides space around the arrow nock while still giving me a stable hold. Whether you choose to hook deeper or more shallow will depend on the shape of your hand and what you find comfortable. Although Gao Ying recommends the double hook for all situations, I actually don't think it's going to work for all archers because of variations in hand geometry. For example, if you have shorter, more stout fingers, then you're probably going to be more liable to overcrowd the knock when you assume the double hook. Now you might try to create more space around the arrow knock by adopting a more shallow hook, but that could be challenging, especially if you're holding with the tips of your index and middle fingers. You're going to have to give it a try to see if it works. Now folks with shorter fingers might actually find the single hook good for both light and heavy bows, because they're going to be able to create space around the knock, and they're going to be able to hook just enough to have a stable hold. My personal experience is I don't notice a difference in strength between the single hook and the double hook. Then again, I have friends who feel like the single hook is stronger than the double hook, and I have friends who feel like the double hook is stronger than the single hook. Those differences in opinion, I think they boil down to differences in hand geometry, as well as how much time you spend practicing each technique. This concludes the overview of Gao Ying's double hook technique, which mitigates the disadvantages of the standard double hook by introducing this release variation. I hope this video inspires you to give the technique a try, see if it works for you. Until next time, have fun practicing.